Hello friends, and welcome to this week's episode of From Profits to Properties, where I help you to give you tactics to help you grow your business and earn profits that exceed your wildest dreams, and then we'll help you figure out what to do with those profits, specifically how to build long-term wealth through real estate. So I'm going to give you tactics in both areas every single week, so please stay tuned as I give you all the information you need to help you to accomplish all of your goals. So the first tactic I want to talk about today is the business tactic. And I want to talk about quarterly retreats. Now, I'm not talking about a spa day, although sometimes that actually is what it's about. But a quarterly retreat is really a day once a quarter for you and your management team. Now, your management team might just be you. It might be you and your entire team because you're a small enough organization. Depending upon the size of your organization, you want to bring the right nucleus of people that are the key decision makers that are helping to drive your business and meet at least once a quarter, off-site ideally, a half a day every other quarter, and a full day every other quarter. So twice a year, you're going to do a half a day. Twice a year, you're going to do a full day. And the days that you do a full day, the extra half a day is for something fun. So you're always just going to do a half a day of meetings and then a half a day of something fun, or a half a day of meetings and then back to work for the other half of the day. Now, this is something I was taught, 10, 12 years ago. I did it pretty regularly leading up to COVID. And I got to be honest, I've been really off on this since COVID, and I really need to get back on track. I was thinking about that, and I thought this would make a great podcast episode because it's going to force me to have to do that. It's the start of a new quarter right now, and it's the perfect time to do that. Now, personally, I have a lot of team members that are remote. So to do an offsite event where we're all going to get together is going to be challenging. Can it be done? For sure, but sometimes it means that we just do something virtual. And virtual is better than nothing, but the key is everybody is disconnected from business for that half day or that whole day. Now, you want to talk about where you've come from, where you're at, and where you're going. Now, the beginning of the year should be really about the plan for the coming year. The middle of the year is going to be progress check. So here we are, it's beginning of July. Where am I at so far? What have I done compared to what my expectations were? It's halftime. What do we need to reset? What do we need to change? And really, my three favorite things to talk about are start, stop, and keep. What are the things we need to start doing? What are the things we need to stop doing? And what are the things we need to keep doing? Those are the three most important things you want to ask yourself at every single quarterly retreat. Now, the other thing you want to do twice a year is a SWOT analysis. So a SWOT analysis goes through four things. It goes through your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Now, your strengths and your opportunities are positive things that are either internal or external. Like a strength is a positive thing that's internal. And an opportunity is a positive thing, but it's external. So it's something that you can go chase that is an opportunity for you to chase. On the other side, you've got your weaknesses and your threats. So weaknesses are negative things that are internal. So strengths and weaknesses are internal. And then threats are negative things that are external. So you've got opportunities and threats are the two external things. And if you think about your business in those four quadrants, twice a year, you run a SWOT analysis. I got to the point where I had my team run the SWOT analysis for themselves and for the team before we went on our quarterly retreat. And so I'd start out the quarterly retreat and I would cover our progress. What numbers have we produced so far? And how does that compare to what our goal has been or is? And then we'd go into the SWOT analysis. And we would talk twice a year about, hey, what are your personal strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And everybody went around the room and shared. And then we talked about the team. And what are the team's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And it was a really, really important exercise because it opened our eyes to things that, as the team leader, I might not have been paying attention to. My team might be seeing things that I'm not seeing. And if you don't ask for feedback, you're not likely to get it. So this is the opportunity that you make it clear this is a safe space. You need to make it really clear that they might bring up something that's a weakness that you feel like is a strength. As a good leader, you have to take that the right way. You have to listen. You cannot get defensive. You cannot fight back, because otherwise they're not going to be open and honest with you going forward. And that's what this retreat is about, is being able to get a real good pulse on your business, exactly where you're at and exactly where you're going. Okay. And then we wrap up with the plans for the future. So what do we need to do? What are action items that we need to address from the SWOT items? So you got an action item on weaknesses, strengths. They're already strengths, but action items on weaknesses, action items on opportunities, and action items on threats. Now, weaknesses and opportunities are the two areas you can actually make the most action on. Strengths, well, they're already strong. And threats are just that. It's a threat. Can you do something to mitigate the threat? Yes. But can you eliminate it? Most of the time, no. So you just have to recognize it and be aware of the fact that the threat is there. For years, I said the threat in my business was interest rates going up. Guess what? Interest rates went up. There was nothing I could do about it. I had to lay off some team members. That was really, really hard to do. But the fact is, the business wasn't there to necessitate the size of the team that I had. So that's an example. I couldn't have done anything in the beginning to make sure that threat didn't impact us. It was a matter of, look, we know that that threat is there, and it's something we're going to have to deal with when we get there. And then, so that's twice a year that you're doing the SWOT analysis. But every quarter, you're going to go over what your numbers are so far, and you're going to do a start, stop, keep analysis. So start, stop, keep. What are the things that we aren't doing that we have to start doing? What are the things that we're doing that we need to stop doing? And what are the things that we are doing that we need to keep doing? And make sure that everybody has the opportunity to give input. It's very, very collaborative. It's a great environment. Do some icebreakers in the beginning. Come up with some teamwork, team building ideas. You can search ChatGPT and get some great ideas on icebreakers. But it's really, really important that you give your team the opportunity to provide you feedback. Now, you might say, John, I'm 7 minutes into this podcast and I'm a team of one. Then do it yourself. I did quarterly retreats by myself for a little while. And what it was an opportunity to get away from the business and focus on thinking through those same things, the SWOT analysis, the start, stop, keep analysis, looking at what my goals were that I set at the beginning of the year and seeing what progress I've made, because you've got to look at the scoreboard periodically. You cannot stare at the scoreboard every single play, every down, every inning, no matter what sport you're in. You can't just sit there and stare at the scoreboard, or you'll never actually play the game. But you got to look periodically. You got to know where you're at. You got to know, hey, am I coming from behind? Am I barely winning? Am I tied? Am I barely losing? Or am I crushing the other team? You've got to know where you stand. And so you've got to look at the scoreboard 4 times a year thoroughly. Okay, you should know what your numbers are and look at those on a more regular basis, but you should do a deep dive at least once a quarter. And this is the easiest way to do it, is to do quarterly retreats. All right, hang tight, quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back with some strategies on buying properties in cash, but leveraging that property to get the cash back out very, very quickly so that you can buy the next property. So stay tuned, and I'll cover that in just a second. Hello, friends. Just want to interrupt our podcast really quickly to talk to you about owning properties in an LLC. It is a phenomenal strategy to protect your assets against any type of a claim that comes from a property that you own. The problem is conventional financing doesn't allow it. So most people who own investment properties have bought them either in their personal name or in a family trust, which exposes you and your family to liability and lawsuits because you're the owner of the investment property. And if something happens there, they can come after you. You need to talk to your attorney about the pros and cons of using an LLC. You need to talk to your tax guy about the pros and cons of using an LLC. But you for sure need to know about the option that I have available that will allow you to purchase investment properties in an LLC instead of being in your personal name, because it is a game changer in protecting you and your family's financial future. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. Second half of the podcast is here. We're going to talk about the ability to buy properties in cash, but get that cash right back out of those properties. There is a technique that allows us for lots of different financing programs to pull cash out sooner than you may think. In general, the rule says you have to wait 6 to 12 months after purchasing a property in order to pull the cash out of that property. That's been Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's conventional rule for a long time. even with the new programs that are coming out that allow for a lot more flexibility because we don't use Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's guidelines, they still require at least 6 months of ownership unless you utilize this loophole. Now, this loophole, let me paint a picture for you on where this loophole fits in. I had a client who contacted me about a week and a half ago, and they were looking at buying a property. And they said, John, I want to buy this property and I want to take out a loan on it, but I also have I can get a better deal if I write a cash offer. I have the money in my home equity line of credit on my primary home, plus some cash I have at home, and I've got some money to do renovations on it, but I don't want to be stuck with being out that money for the next 6 months or a year. So I'm torn on what I should do. Should I just write the offer with financing so that I can have that money borrowed right away on that property and not have to wait 6 months to tap into it? And as we had a conversation, I realized this is something that a lot of people think they don't have a choice. It's I don't want to call it a myth, but it is a long-standing expectation that once you buy a home, you have to wait 6 months to pull cash out of it. And it's just not true. In most situations, if you buy the home in cash, now here's one of the key things. You cannot take out a loan on the property that we're talking about doing the financing for. So it is only when you paid cash. Now you can get that cash from anywhere. You can get it from a loan. You can get it from an unsecured loan or a loan that's secured to a different property. You can pull it from your 401k. You can pull it from any number of different methods. You can just get it from your stock portfolio or your savings accounts or mutual funds or wherever it happens to be. It doesn't matter where you get the money from as long as it's not a loan on the property we're trying to do the financing on. So hard money on the property you're buying does not qualify with this loophole. But as long as you're not doing hard money or any type of financing on the property that you're buying, and there's no liens on the property for financing, then you likely qualify for this loophole. And basically what it says is, hey, look, immediately after buying the property, we will let you refinance to pull cash out of that property using its current market value. Yeah, using the current market value. So maybe you did renovations, maybe you didn't. We understand that you probably got a discount on it because you paid cash for it. That's kind of the point of this loophole. You can buy properties in cash. So take out a home equity line of credit on your current home, get a line against your margin, a margin line against your stocks and bonds. Find a way to borrow it from Uncle Fred. Find a way to get the money. You pay cash for the property. And then once you close, we use the full value of the property, and we will give you cash out up to 80% of that full value, as long as it doesn't exceed what you originally paid for the property. So let's say, for example, that you bought a home and you got a really, really sweet deal on it, and you bought it for $200,000. And you took a quick month and put 50 grand into it, and 30 days later, this property is beautiful. So you're now in at 250, but your purchase price was 200. Okay, all that 250 grand came from some other source other than the actual property. Okay, so now what you're going to do is we're going to be able to do a full appraisal on the property. And maybe that thing's worth 400 grand now. You got a really good deal. The work that you did for 50 grand increased the value by double, and now it's worth 400 grand. I can't loan you 80% of 400 grand because that's greater than what you invested in the property originally. And this rule does not let me count the renovations that you did. But what it does is let you get back the money that you originally invested, 100% of the money you invested. This is way better than trying to buy the property for 200 grand and saying, okay, John, I'll take out a loan right now for on this $200,000 property. I'm not going to loan you 200 grand on that property. You're going to need to put 20% down on that. So I'm going to loan you 160. So you can take out a loan in the beginning for 160, or you can buy the property and then do this technique that allows me to refinance it afterwards, and I can give you the full $200,000. No, you're not getting your extra 50 grand back that you did in renovation cost, but you weren't going to get that anyway. The only way you're going to get that back is if you did a hard money loan and we can prove that your renovations created that increase. There's a lot of different pieces to this, and I don't want to go down that road. This particular rule is a really easy one to apply, and for a lot of people, it's everything they wanted. I want to buy the property in cash, but I really want to take a loan out against it, and this gives you the best of both worlds. So if you're looking to increase your portfolio, whether this is your first rental property or your fifth rental property, and you're saying, hey, I've got some money that's available and I want to write a cash offer, I think I can get a better deal. but man, it kind of stinks. I have to wait 6 months to get the cash back out of the property. You don't have to do that. And that's my point. This is a strategy that helps you to keep your money liquid. You can then take that money and apply it to the next property. We're in a market right now where a lot more buyers have gone into hibernation. They're worried about the fact that interest rates have stayed high. The economy is getting a little bit shaky. I'm seeing a lot of people are saying, I'm just going to rent. Read an article in the Wall Street Journal this morning talking about that the current economy and landscape in the housing market is not good for sellers, but it's great for landlords and it's great for investors. So it's an opportunity we're in right now, and I don't know how long this is going to last. And so for a lot of people, it's a time to pick up multiple units. So we have to start thinking about strategies of how do you leverage your money better? How do you stretch your money to get more units, to buy more properties? The trade-off is typically the more units you're buying with less down payment per unit, the less your cash flow is that you're going to get. So you have to decide, do I need cash flow or am I looking for appreciation? If you're looking for cash flow, you need to put as big of a down payment as you can. But if you're looking to take advantage of this opportunity and pick up a bunch of units, you want to keep your cash flow wouldn't be your primary concern. It would be breaking even on the property. For some people, maybe they can afford to even lose a little bit monthly, but picking up as many properties as you can in a down market is a really, really good strategy and something I want to help you to accomplish. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this episode gave you great value. If it did, please put a comment wherever you're listening to it. Subscribe, like, share. All of those amazing things will help me to grow this podcast. Really appreciate everybody listening. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.